Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite 24 books that I read in 2024. So this book I read, give or take, 64 books, I'm pretty sure, per Goodreads, but some of them were like little small books that are on like an author's website, so they're like a little novella, not a lot. But so around 60 books is what I read. And today I'm going to be talking about my favorite 24 of them. And these books are all like 4.5 stars to 5 stars. So you know that I really liked them. And I have my computer here that has all of my notes. Otherwise I would be very jumbled during this video. But I don't think you can see it, but it's here. So, and this is all in chronological order of when I read them. So the first book that I read this year that I gave 5 stars was The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. And this book is about two like high school friends who have to strike up like a fake dating deal. And the thing is, they've both liked each other for like forever, but they never said anything because they don't want to ruin the friendship. So yeah, and this is between a ballerina and a football player. The next book is Wicked King by Holly Black, and I don't have that book with me because I borrowed it from a friend. And not gonna lie, that book was just kind of like a whole fever dream. Like, I'm not really sure what happened in it. Like, my memory isn't serving me right. I just know that it was good, if that makes any sense. And that I remember the ending and I was like, oh my gosh, I was so mad. But it's okay because the third book makes up for the ending. But The Wicked King was the best book in the Cruel Prince trilogy, in my opinion. But I feel like most people agree with that statement anyways. Next is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, and oh my goodness, I loved this book so much. I love when books have like the found family aspect, like none of them are related, but they found each other some way or another, and they're all just like best friends. So this book is the second book in the Six of Crows duology, and if you don't cry while reading this, I'm not sure you're sane, because a few tears were shed during this. And with this being the second book in a series, I was definitely way more invested in the characters in the first book, and I just enjoyed this plotline more, if that makes sense. The next book I also don't have with me because I'm lending it out to a friend right now, but it's Begin Again by Emma Lord, and I love Emma Lord. I read 2 of her books this year, and they're both being lent out right now because I loved them so much. But this one is like a college rom-com about like these two people that just like meet at college, and it's just such a cute storyline. And if you love Taylor Swift, there are lots of references in this book. Even the title is called Beginning. The next series that I read this year that I absolutely loved was the Renegade series by Melissa Meyer. And this is a sci-fi series, which I never thought I would be reading a sci-fi series and really enjoying it. But this series was so good. It's about this main character. She's a teenage girl and her name is Nova. And she is on like, in their world, there are 2 sides, like, you know, like in any like sci-fi dystopian world, like the good side that everyone loves, and then the like underground like band of people who want to like uprise and like go against the government. And so Nova is a part of the you know like underground group who wants to take over the government, and her way of doing that is like going undercover with the good guys and trying to like take them down from the inside. But along the way, you know, she finds friends that she doesn't want to kill them. She doesn't want to like turn her back against them because like she's gotten to know them more and they're actually good people. And so the whole book series is her like trying to figure out what side she wants to take, and she's very conflicted. But the series was just so good and I highly recommend it. The next books that I read this year were Powerless and Powerful by Lauren Roberts. And I've been sitting here trying to explain this book and I just wasn't finding a way to. So I'm just gonna read what Lauren Roberts told anyone who reads this book about what it's about, because I couldn't put it into words. But I'm sure all of y'all know what this book is about anyways, because it like blew up this year. But only the extraordinary belong in the kingdom of Ilya, the exceptional, the elites. The elites have possessed powers for decades, gifted to them by the plague, while those born ordinary are just that, banished from the kingdom of Ilya and shunned from society. No one knows this better than Peyton Gray in Ordinary, posing as a sidekick to blend in with the elites. But when she unwittingly saves one of Ilya's princes, Kai Azar, she's thrown into the purging trials, a brutal competition showcasing the elites' powers. If the trials and the opponents within them don't kill her, the prince she's fighting feelings for will if he discovers what Peyton is, complete ordinary. So that's what Powerless is about. And then Powerful is like a short novella about one of the side characters in Powerless. And if you don't cry while reading this book, then you're not sane, because more tears were shed during this book. It was so good, and I don't know if I'm ever going to reread it, to be honest. It was a lot of emotional damage. Thank you, Lauren Roberts. The next books were Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After, and this was a reread from last year because I wanted a refresher before I read The Ballad of Never After, and oh my goodness. If you haven't read these, one, you have to read the Caraval series first. All of these books are written by Stephanie Garber. But I don't know. These books are also just a fever dream, because what even happened? Like, what is Jax? Who is Jax? Why is he like the most confusing character ever? But like, I love him so much. And why is Evangeline like kind of dumb but smart? I don't know how to describe these books. Just please read them, but please read Caraval first, because you will appreciate the world and the characters so much more if you read Caraval first. The next book I read is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams, and when I tell you I have never related to a character more than Annie Walker, I'm telling you. She's like a shy, like introvert who feels like she has to play that role of a shy introvert. Like, she can't speak out. She can't be her own person in her like group of sisters. And this book was just so amazing, and I loved it. I love anything Sarah Adams writes. Like, the first book this year that I gave 5 stars was The Cheat Sheet, and now we have Practice Makes Perfect. And this is the second book in the When in Rome series. The other book is like a different series that she's writing, which is like the Cheat Sheet series. This one is like all about like small town romances, so very much giving Gilmore Girls, which I love. So this is one of my favorite books of this year, but you have to read When in Rome first. You have to read this book first, and then this book. Please read this. The next books that I read were The Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I only have the first book because I borrowed the rest of them from my friend, but I just loved the like concept of these books. It's basically these teenagers that are like really smart and have like kind of weird talents, and so they're in this like FBI program where they solve cold cases. So they're all murder mystery books, and they're just so good. Like, I love Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Like, she wrote the Inheritance Game series. She's just like so good at writing characters. And in this book series, there's another love triangle, which she loves to write apparently, because she just can't give it a rest. But one thing to note is these books get a lot darker as the storyline goes. Like, this book is like fine, but once I got to the last book, I was like, huh, I never imagined this series would turn out like this. But it's still really good, and I would recommend. Next up, we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. Literally, anything Emily Henry writes is gold. Like, I just can't fathom how she writes so well. And this is my favorite Emily Henry book ever. Ever. It's just the fact that the main character is literally a librarian. I just love that so much. And the beginning concept of this book is kind of weird, because it's about these two people, Daphne and Miles, and they were in like committed relationships to these two people, but then the people that they're in relationships with break it off with them and get together. So now you have Daphne and Miles who are just like heartbroken, and somehow or another Daphne has to move in with Miles, and so they just bond over being heartbroken. And then obviously it's a funny story because they get together at the end. Not to spoil it, but like, you know. And 5-star book. I love this book so much. You guys have no idea. So the next book is The Grandest Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And this is in the Inheritance Games world. It comes after the original series and the Brothers Hawthorne. Or is it the Hawthorne Brothers? I think it's the Brothers Hawthorne. I don't know. Anyways. But after the Brothers Hawthorne, I was like, oh no, is Jennifer Lynn Barnes' writing kind of going downhill? Because after the Final Gambit, I was like, this book was okay. And then I read The Brothers Hawthorne and I was like, I don't really know if I like this. But this just like re-sparked my love for her, because this book was as good as the second Inheritance Games book, and that book was insane. And this one was just like so good. It's about these people, kind of like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory style. They had to find like tickets all around the world, and then they get thrown into these games that they have to do to win like a big money prize. But it's kind of like a lot of these people know each other and their storylines are intertwined. There's a lot happening, and there's also a relationship in here that I'm so happy about, and I cannot wait for the second book to see where that happens and what happens with them, because I love it. The next book is Tweet Cute by Emma Lord, and that book is being borrowed right now by one of my friends, so I don't have it with me. But this one is about these kids in high school who are like rivals in real life, but then there's like an app that everyone at the school uses where they all have like anonymous names and stuff. So on the app, they just like talk every day, like they're good friends, but in real life they're like budding enemies. And then what also happens in this book is their parents have rival like food companies. I know that kind of sounds weird, but there's just like a lot happening. And it's so, in one way it's friends to lovers, but it's also enemies to lovers, online versus in real life. And this book was just so good. And there's more Taylor Swift references because it's Emma Lord. So good. I loved it so much. The next book I don't have with me because it's also being borrowed, but it is Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. I could go on like hour-long yap sessions about Lynn Painter because I love her and her writing so much. Better Than the Movies is the book that got me back into reading, because I feel like everyone has that stage where like they loved reading in elementary school, and then middle school it's kind of like but then you find like your book that gets you back into reading. That was Better Than the Movies for me. So Liz and Wes are my favorite book couple in the entire world, and so I was very scared going into Nothing Like the Movies because I knew that they broke up, which no one ever wants for their favorite book couple in the universe, right? And so this book was good because Lynn Painter can't write anything wrong. Like, I still gave it 4.5 stars. But Liz was so darn stupid in this book. Like, girl, Wes Bennett is standing in front of you and you're like, no, I don't want this. Girl, please. Please. And also, in the, like, new, like, short story that she put on her website, Miss Girl said, like, oh, I always knew we were going to end up together even after we broke up. And I'm like, if you knew that, then why were you fighting so hard against Wes in the first place? And Nothing Like the Movies. But anyways, they got their happy ending. That's all I have to say. And I love Nothing Like the Movies. If you could see the book right now, it has the most book tabs and annotations you've ever seen in your entire life. Actually, that's probably a lie. People probably have way more than me, but like, whatever. The next book is Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon, and this is an academic rivals to lovers, and it's their senior year of high school, and they're like, all of their high school year they've been fighting on who's going to be valedictorian, and right after they find out who gets valedictorian, they have to play a school-wide like senior assassin, So obviously one of them is upset, but you know, somehow they find their way into like playing the game together, and so they become friends in a way, and like secrets are revealed, and it was just so good. At one point I literally got up and like was jumping around because I was so excited. So yeah, that's this book. And then my book pile just dropped. Anyways, the next book I don't have because I borrowed it from a friend, but it's A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. And there was something about the writing that seemed very similar to If He Had Been With Me, which I hated that book. Absolutely hated it. Like, might be the worst book I've ever read in my life. I got influenced by, you know, the book world on YouTube when it was popular, and I absolutely hated it. So the writing of this book was kind of similar to that. But when I tell you, the storyline of this book, I was just like there. I was so in line with the storyline, and this book is so sad, actually. You have to go into the book knowing that, I feel like, because the cover just like looks so happy and like, oh, yada yada yada. No. I cried more over this book than I ever have in my entire life. Ever. Like, who gave the author the right to make a book this sad, but like so good? I just can't even. I could yap about that book for a long time too. But yeah, 5 stars. Even though I didn't enjoy the writing, I enjoyed the storyline. So yeah. And then the second to last book is Places We've Never Been by Casey West. And this book is about childhood friends who were like best friends when they were younger, and their family were friends. So it was like family friends, but then one of them had to move away. So they kind of just lost contact. But then for like some reason, their parents are like, let's go on an like RV trip across like states and like go to state parks. So then they're like forced to like become friends again, and you see like everything that happened and like why they stopped being friends, and then how they start becoming friends again. And I just really like the plot, like the idea of like a summer like RV trip. That just sounds so fun. Like, hello? And then the last book that I really enjoyed is really a picture book, not gonna lie. But it's the Eras Tour book by Taylor Swift. Not much to say. I just really enjoyed this book. Reading it might have been my shortest read of the year because, I don't know, you've seen it. These are the pages. I just whacked myself in the face. These are the pages. Also, a weird thing, I love how you can like feel what she's wearing. And the microphone too. Anyways, I would recommend this book. But also, if you don't want to drop $40 on this thing, you could find a flip through on YouTube of someone just like going through the pages, because the pictures are great, the book is great, like a good collector item, but it's also $40, which is really expensive. So yeah, that was my 24 favorite books that I read in 2024, and I'm hoping to film a video soon where I talk about like 25 books that I want to read in 2025. And also, if y'all want to see a video of me talking about the books that I didn't like this year, I would also love to talk about that because I love ranting about things that I don't like. So anyways, yes, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!